Welcome to Content House. My name is Falcone. This is Toby, as always, and joining us for our very special, whatever episode this is, I lost count now, is Gregan.
Hello.
Hey, Gregan.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you for coming on. Yeah, it's good.
I mean,
we're excited.
We met a long time ago now. It feels like lying and manipulating each other.
as many
of your
as
your
many
good
have read
friends are.
nowadays.
I thought you meant playing Among Us.
Yeah, very
Funny
clever.
joke. You say a long time ago. It really isn't that long.
No, but it feels like a whole different era, doesn't it now?
It's weird that a lot of the sort of other streamer friends I've made that I met through Among Us, through my own lobbies, over the last month or two, they've been 12-month resub, and they keep typing like, I can't believe I've known you for a year. It's like, wow, yeah, it's only been a year. I think that's kind of crazy.
Yeah, at the start it went by so quickly, and I think post Among Us era it's kind of slowed down a bit as everyone's gone off and done their own things.
Yeah.
I feel like this year has gone by so slowly.
Yeah.
Like every time I look at it, I'm like, oh wait, we're only in like the second quarter, the start of the second quarter. You know, April 1st came around. It was like, oh wait, we're just starting the second quarter.
Well, for me personally speaking, there's nothing that's quite as much fun to stream or anything. There's nothing as much fun to create content on now as there was for that first quarter of last year. Like, just getting up every morning, like, yeah, it's Wolf of Bell lobby time.
Is that really when it started? When was the kind of first Sips lobbies and Wolf of Bell lobbies? When were they?
Well, I didn't stream them initially. I don't know if you streamed them straight away.
Yeah, I think I streamed at the start. I remember you didn't because you were full-time esports host.
Family friendly. I was streaming,
Oh,
but I
that's
was
right.
staying
Yeah.
very family friendly. In fact, and it seems ridiculous now, I would do the lobby and then turn my stream on after the lobby, which is mad when you then flash forward and it's like the lobby is what caused me so much growth. And initially I was just like intentionally not doing that part. Like, it's really weird.
Yeah.
Maybe that's what helped with your growth. You know, that sort of, oh, they're not available. Where are they? And then suddenly
I do wonder if the fact that I suddenly started streaming after playing in this lobby for like a month and people sort of knew who I was, like, oh, he's streaming. I do wonder if that helped give me a bit of a
Because it was like, what? Because like everyone else was already watching everyone else, and then for you it was like, oh, special event.
Yeah,
you started streaming now.
Maybe the conversation in the pre-lobby of like, oh, you're streaming today, Falk. Whereas everyone's always streaming, so the assumption is people streaming, but for you it was a special thing.
Maybe.
So that might make someone click on your channel or go follow because like, oh, he's streaming, so I want to go support that.
That's a really interesting thing because it's things like that happen, like, you can't... Like, I feel like if you pitched to me the idea, like, okay, so I want to be... You know, back then, I want to be a big Among Us streamer. And as a strategy for growth, I'm going to not stream it for the first couple months, specifically so that I can build up a little bit of anticipation, hopefully. Like, that sales pitch, that'd never even work for yourself. You'd never be able to convince yourself that that's a good strategy for growth. Yet maybe it was. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, it certainly worked out for a time. But let's go back even further because so I started streaming it in January last year. So January 2021. We started playing, or the Sips lobbies started in, was it start of December, end of November 2020, I think?
Yeah, I think so, somewhere around there.
Sips put out a tweet and he said, do I have any mutuals that would want to play European times Among Us 11 a.m.? Now, I got in because I'd met Sips before, I responded to the tweet and he invited me to the server. Is it a similar story for you?
I actually got in through Stumpy.
Oh, of course, I remember now.
Yeah, Stumpy and Cole had done some stuff with the Yogscast. They made that connection there. So Stumpy got involved. And then Stumpy just was in the Discord, was like, is it right if I invite my friend Gregan? And at the time, I'd played Among Us with some friends and seemed to be doing quite well with the manipulating and outsmarting people. So Stumpy was like, I've got this friend who's quite good at the game. And at the time, I thought I was better than I was. And then I came across Yeti and so on. I was like, okay, I'm not actually that good.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was also... iBallistic Squid was in there, who's a good friend of mine. And so it was like there was a few mutuals in there, so it made sense to get me involved. And so I came in quite early on, like it was still first week or so when he was building out the numbers. I don't think I would have got in later once it had established a bit more. I really don't know. It's always like timing. You never know really what the factor was to get someone in. But yeah, it was very early on and it was through Stumpy, yeah.
Okay, yeah. And then I remember I remember we having a little chat pretty early when everyone went for a break, and I distinctly remember you saying, "So you're Falcone hosts, right? What do you host?" I remember you asking me that question.
Yeah.
We got into a bit of a chat, a bit of a dialogue. Toby was also in the server, much in the same way that Stumpy got you in, I got Toby in, and you didn't play much at all.
I did play a huge amount. No, I think for the Among Us meta, it drew in a lot of people that maybe had other jobs or were working in casting, doing all these other things. And then suddenly it was like, oh, we need to be able to broadcast from home. And so it got a lot of similar personalities. I was already doing my own content thing on YouTube. And so for me, it was like, I'll come and play if I feel like I have the time or the energy or the want to. But I wasn't really caught up in the just sudden whirlwind of it like you guys were. Like, for me, it was very much like a peripheral thing that was like really fun. I got to play with people, and then it was really funny. And people would be like, oh, "You're playing with so and so, big YouTuber X and Y," and I'd just be like, "Oh." Yeah.
I mean, I remember being quite excited because again, when Sip started it, he was sort of like every day he would put together the list of people that was it. Occasionally, I'd get a message from him and it'd be like, "Hey, you want to play Among Us on Tuesday? You want to play?" I was like, "Yeah, of course I would." And once or twice a week, maybe Sips would put me in, and then ultimately he handed over to Wolfabelle, and then she started it, and then that led me into me playing every day, thankfully, and that's sort of when it became routine. But initially it was like, I just remember whenever Sips had sent me an invite, it's like, yeah, okay, whatever I've currently got planned, I'm gonna make sure I can squeeze this into my day. It's like, yes, I can do that. And I think that Toby, he added you in a lot of the time the same days that he'd had me in because he knew that we knew each other.
Together. He knew that we were on the same page. And
one of my favourite memories actually from those Among Us was with you, Toby. Do you remember the "It is Vikram" moment? Do you remember that one?
Was this an ASIM game? Was this?
It was one where it got a little bit heated, and I was it was me and Alessia, and I was framing Vikram every kill, and like I think the first one was kind of accidental, and then I think it was.
Did I help you win as imposter?
No, you eventually called me out because I did it way too blatantly. But I remember the first kill was near Asim, and he was like, "Oh, I just saw Vikram do the scan," and then later on it turned out he hadn't actually seen him scan.
Oh, that's right. And there was this whole argument about Asim. Did you actually queue behind Vikram?
Yeah.
And he was in the end. He was like, "No, I didn't."
Yeah,
like,
and
no!
so I'd killed in front of those two. Anyway, so it should have been Vikram there, but it wasn't. And then Alessia accidentally killed in front of Vikram, and it was like, oh, it's probably Vikram. And then I framed Vikram so badly. I was standing out of vision of everyone. You and Vikram went in with someone else. You were doing upload, and I killed on top of you guys, walked out, and it was you, Vikram, and this person who died. And you went into the meeting, and you just went, "It is Vikram." I am in download. It was just the funniest thing.
I was holding it in. Vikram's voice now going, no. I know who it is. 100%. I know who it is.
1,000%.
I know who it is.
Yeah, and then I killed in front of you and Vikram, and you're like, okay, it's not him.
Wrong.
Yeah, that was so funny. But yeah,
I got good.
Yeah, good times. I mean, there was some. The thing is about Among Us is that I feel like for me, the thing that made it so much fun at first is almost what killed it for me eventually. Is that what made it so much fun at first is that whenever you played with a different group of people, it was a different game entirely.
Yeah.
It was, yeah.
And then we sort of got into our, again with the Wolfbell lobby, we got into a meta of playing the same people every day, and then it was like we had our jokes like, oh, Harry's always the killer, and all of that stuff happened. Me and you were always hiding behind the bookshelf at first, and then it was really fun and exciting, and just at some point it got kind of stale. So everyone sort of learned each other's.
Like if someone died when the lights turned off straight away, I knew it was Harry. And it got to a point where I was like, I called Harry out on it, and she had to change a whole play style around it, because even if I had no evidence to say it was Harry, just the method at which the death had happened, I'd be like, I know Harry kills in that way. And then Yeti as well. I remember calling Yeti out on something I'd watched in one of his videos. I used to watch Yeti's videos to learn how he played, because I was intrigued by the way he was so good at the game.
Was this like a killing specimen or something?
Yeah, he did a kill, and I remember watching his stream back, and he was like, there's no way he would know that. Like, there's just no way he'd know that. And I was like, I've watched your videos where you talk about your favourite strategy off the start, and you did that exact same thing here, and I've called you out on it, and I just about caught him because I went to look for it. But, like, he's frustrated because his strategy should work if no one knows it's his strategy. And that's where it started to get a little bit, like, angry voting rather than,
and that's the problem, is that
voting.
And also like some people started to, it wasn't like any one or two people in particular, it was just various people would get frustrated by something or take something that happened a little bit too seriously, take getting sussed a little bit too seriously, take getting voted out, and that was kind of one of the things that was a shame and ruined it a little bit. But no, prime time Among Us was great. Nowadays it's and I figure it's a pretty good time to bring this up, because I saw a tweet. I'm not going to name any names or anything, but I saw a tweet literally this morning. It was a streamer was saying, I joined a Fall Guys stream yesterday, and I was just told, I joined a voice chat because they were all streaming it, and I got told to leave, and it made me feel so small, etc. And I feel like some, not all, but some of the kind of stream groups have become so cliquey. There have been a couple Among Us lobbies I've joined recently, and I felt like such an outsider. It's like I just don't really want to. I don't want to play in this. I don't play in this group, and that's a shame. And I think it's easy to fall into that. And I hope that back in the day we weren't like that. You know,
Yeah.
I don't think we were.
It's tough because you want to be inclusive in so many parts of the streaming gaming world. The same thing with gaming communities. You know, having to ban people because they don't fit with the server is always a really tough thing. And I think the Among Us era really highlighted that because of the selection process that happened of, hey, here's your lobby, especially if it was oversubscribed. You know, there's more than 10 people in a day. It started to really highlight who the people were who didn't want to who someone else didn't want to turn up. And I think you got to look at it and go, this is their job, right? This is the streamer's job. They want to make the best entertainment possible, and if they feel like someone doesn't fit the dynamic, you've just got to go, it's their choice, right? Like that's part of, like, you wouldn't expect a band to have a member of the band who they didn't get on with because the leader of the band chooses who's in the band.
That's absolutely
vibes,
fair.
right?
And you know, it's Wolfabell did a great job of sort of being the bad cop where she had to be, and she's like, you know what, no one's entitled to play in the lobby, and that's fair. You know, there's different sides to it. I mean, I think something like a custom Fall Guys lobby where it's like 100 streamers, it's difficult. But like if someone joins the voice chat, you can't just sort of tell them, well, they're streaming as well. No, you're not wanted to. Like I think even a DM or something would be. I don't know. It's a very awkward situation. The cameras have just turned off. There we go. That's right.
Back. Hello.
My fridge does this weird thing. I think it just trips a fuse occasionally, and just like things click off and back. It's really weird. Anyway,
how do you know it's the fridge?
I know it's the fridge. The click comes from that direction.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
All right.
it's like a clicking sound, and then sometimes monitors like flicker, cameras turn off and on again. It's really weird.
But then how do you know it's the fridge causing the monitors to flicker and not the monitors causing the flicker?
Because if the fridge is ever off, it just doesn't happen.
Oh, okay.
If it's like, anyway,
anyway,
I was gonna say, what was I gonna say?
Evil
Something
fridge.
about evil fridge, exactly.
Fridges.
Something like, no, something about picking people. Oh yeah, right. So when I was running my own lobbies, I think you've just got to try and be as transparent as possible with that kind of thing. Like there were people that I often didn't pick or picked as a sort of absolute last resort for my lobbies purely because they had a rubbish microphone. And it's like, if I'm playing Among Us with you and I'm streaming it, that's content on my channel. If you sound like you're talking through a tin can, that ruins my content. And it's like, so that is a factor when I'm picking people. Like, get a bigger microphone and I'll pick you more.
I think from a person who doesn't stream, not my perspective, but someone who just doesn't stream at all or make any content, they're thinking, I want to play in the game. I want to play the game. Oh, you know, they're all just playing this game together. Most people watching the content aren't even really thinking about the fact that they're turning it into content. And so they're just like, oh, they're just playing together. And so they'll hear stories about like, oh, they're not included, and just think of it in terms of like, oh, you know, they're being a cliquey group. But then, yeah, obviously you've got to turn it into good content, otherwise no one's gonna watch it. It's gotta be that process. It's like you're saying about the band. I like the band analogy because it's like, sure, if someone wants to come play music with you, that's a nice thing. But like, if you're trying to make it into something, there's got to be that selection process, and there's got to be that level of like, we're all on the same page about what that is. And I think that it becomes difficult when you've got streamers who are just like, oh, I want to play with anyone and everyone, and they're just very organically themselves, and they're not thinking about the sort of production side of it. And then you're like, well, if you do that, some people are going to have terrible mics. Some people are going to not vibe well. Some people are going to do, sheriff on first round, like that kind of thing. And
yeah, I mean, the band analogy is a good one as well, because you don't want the drummer who's just going to go crazy and make the whole music
about them.
Yeah. And so that's a big thing with Among Us. You know, having 10 people in a call in any game, obviously it doesn't stay 10 for very long in Among Us. Very rarely do you actually have 10 people in a call.
Yeah.
But that's a lot of people to talk over each other. I find it overwhelming being in a call when playing Valorant. Mm-hmm. You know, like Valorant is 5 people.
Also, remember now Among Us, the cap is 15 players.
Exactly.
So regularly there's meetings with 12 or 13.
So it's tough to fit that many voices all in one place, especially when those voices are very loud and want to get involved in the conversation. I think that's why you, Toby, as one of the non-streamer people, are quite good having in a lobby, because you weren't there to make content. You were there to play the game. So you knew to be quiet when you need to be quiet. And that, I think that's really important, is having that ability to go, I don't need to talk in this meeting right now. And there was definitely an era, especially where it got quite yappy, where people just chip in and dominate conversations and not let other people give information. I
felt that in the Wolfabell lobbies, for the most part, we were pretty good at not doing that.
That was one of the special things about it, wasn't it?
Yeah, like there'd be the odd person occasionally that would dominate a little bit too much, but like the sort of, out of all the people that sort of played a lot, I feel like we had the balance sort of just right, where we were able to show personality, and we were able to sort of put our own twist on things without anyone feeling like they're being too much. Because at the end of the day, if anyone did properly become too much, I don't think that they'd have continued getting picked.
And it was also if someone didn't speak, especially you, whenever you didn't speak in a meeting, it'd be like the last 5 seconds of the meeting as everyone's voting to not kill anyone, just be like, Falk, you're very quiet, and it'd be like, woo, and then the next meeting it would initiate that, right, first person we're going to talk to is Falk. Let's find out why he was so quiet.
But no, I mean, credit's where it's due. Wolfabell did a great job of running those lobbies for such a long time, and it was incredibly successful for a really long time, and you know, I think her picking people and sort of, you know, creating this group was a really big part of that. But anyways, I think that's enough Among Us, because Gregan, Among Us is a really tiny minuscule thing that you've done. You're Mr. Rocket League. Tell me about Rocket League. When did you start playing Rocket League?
So Rocket League, I know it was between my first and second year, the summer. I played it pretty much on release. I found it through a lot of the Minecraft YouTubes I used to like. So I used to be part of the Minecraft world quite heavily. And then when Rocket League came out, I just fell in love. It was like this game that I just saw the beauty in it. I saw the complexity of it, but I also appreciated the simplicity of it at the same time. I could tell it was going to be this big game that everyone was going to want to talk about and play. At the time, I didn't really know much about esports. It was my first big esports adventure. I actually remember going to Insomnia's and watching esports and thinking, this is stupid. Like, who's going to watch other people compete? Like, so Rocket League was just this perfect game for me. And once I started getting better at it, I started to go, oh, I could actually start playing this. And so I competed a little bit just in like weekly tournaments. You know, back then it was like for 150 quid.
Yeah. Like
64 teams would enter a tournament, and I'd play in it with some friends, and then I'd meet some better players and play with them, and so on and so on. And I got quite lucky that, you know, knew the right people, made the right connections, sent off an email to James Bott, who is one of the top RLCS casters now, at the time, sent an email off to him and was just like, hey, do you need any commentators? Obviously, in the early stages, they just need people. They need people to volunteer. And so I started commentating the EU tournaments, and I had a good enough PC and internet that I could stream them.
Yeah.
So I started being like this one-man production streamer who would stream and commentate and sometimes have to solo cast tournaments.
So similar to how I started with Hearthstone. Similar.
And you build up a fan base in the sense that people want to hear you casting, and then also to put it bluntly, the people who run the tournaments want someone who's easy to work with.
Yeah.
And if you can stream, cast, and run production all at the same time, that's a lot less hassle than having to get someone to do the production, someone to cast it. And, you know, tech issues are very rarely a thing. And I was at uni, but not really doing much at uni. So I had a lot of spare time to do this.
So similar to my Hearthstone's journey.
And so that's where I started. And so I started as a commentator, but quite early on in the Rocket League journey, I was teaching people. I've always been a coach sport, coached a bit of music, coached people, all sorts of things. So I started teaching friends about Rocket League. My early YouTube videos were how to be better at kind of videos. And quite early on, I started coaching players. And then I got a bit of a break through a guy called Doomsy, who is a good friend of mine. He's now an amazing editor for Psionics and does really cool content for them. But at the time he was a pro, and he was like, I need someone to help me. Like I just seem to be lost with where I need to go. So I came in and coached his team in season 2 of RLCS, where there was barely any coaches in Rocket League. Like coaches just didn't exist. There was no retired pros. There was no coaching figures. There was a few people like myself who were doing it, but no one who was really successful. And to be honest, I probably made more negative effects for that team than I made positive. Like in hindsight, looking back, like I was making changes, but were those the right changes? Who knows? You can't really know. And so season 2, season 3, season 4, I was coaching a little bit, took a bit of a break, focused on uni, casted quite a lot of big events like Gfinity Elite Series. I casted Dreamhack Leipzig. And just before Dreamhack Leipzig, oh god, there's so much to the story. I missed out on the Clash Royale.
Oh, of course you did Clash Royale, didn't you? You worked for Supercell a little bit.
Yeah, that was my first big gig. So I got...
So random.
So Shogun was working RLCS in the studio in LA, and the person who was scouting for the Clash Royale talent just went to Shogun and was like, hey, we're really struggling for EU-based talent for this Clash Royale show. Do you want to try and learn it? Like, we just need more like UK voices, European voices, because it was too American, you know, it was all American content creators and casters. And Shogun was like, I don't want to do this. I just want to go home. I just want to relax. I'm done with being in LA. I just want to go back. And he was like, oh, who would you recommend? And he was like, I'll ask Gregan. And so I got this message being like, hey, do you want to do Clash Royale? And I was like, I've never played the game. I don't know. Maybe. I'll give it a try. And I flew out to do an interview 1 week before my second year medicine exams. On the year that I was retaking the year because I'd messed up the previous year through doing too much gaming.
I was going to say, like, go back a second. When I say I wasn't doing much at uni, that's because I was studying film. When you say you weren't doing that much, you were studying medicine.
Yeah, so I was studying medicine and I had to retake my second year because I spent too much time streaming, gaming. I got a little bit compulsive, to be honest. I became a bit of a compulsive gamer and had to, like, relearn how I wanted to live, go back to the health and fitness lifestyle that I was very into. And sort of redo the year. And then I redid the second year and I got glandular fever and was out of lectures for like 4 or 5 weeks. And they're like, you might have to just drop out. Like, you can't miss this much uni. But thankfully the bit that I missed with glandular fever was the bit I'd done the previous year. So I kind of like botched the 2 years together. So I was about to do these exams and I went out on a flight where I spent more time in the air flying to LA than I did conscious in LA.
Brilliant.
Like, I was just out there, interview, fly home.
Wow.
And like, I hadn't played Clash Royale really.
It's mad that they had you fly out just for that.
Yeah, I know. How did you not just...
Supercell, innit? They have a lot of money.
I mean, yeah, that is true. But like, I mean, that's a big time commitment for you. Like, if you didn't end up getting the job, like...
Yeah, I don't know. I think it's because they wanted to meet people. They wanted to see people together in person. I don't know. Like, I think it was just they had too much money, so they could just do it.
Mobile games companies.
Yeah,
that's the yeah.
So I was commentating Clash Royale, having not known the name of the character. I remember distinctly calling a mega minion a flying teapot because I didn't know what it was called. So I was like, that looks like a flying teapot. I'm just going to call it that.
Yeah.
And unless I said to them, I was like, I don't know the name of the characters, so I'm going to have to make them up on the spot. And they said, that's fine. We're just sort of seeing what your personality is like. We trust you'll learn it for the show. And I end up doing the show, hosting it. And while I was hosting it, I met Vitality because they had a Clash Royale player. And then off the back of that, I was like, if you want to get into Rocket League, just let me know. I'll scout you a team. You know, classic Gregan, networking, finding a way. And then about a month later, they reached out and went, hey, we've got this massive sponsor who wants to get a Rocket League team. But it has to be a top 4 Rocket League team. And within 2 years, be a world champion. And that was Renault Sport coming in.
It's a bit of, a bit of pressure.
Yeah. And so I scouted them a team. And then throughout that process, I introduced them to Gfinity for the Gfinity Elite Series. Then they got involved in that. And they really liked the way I worked. And they're like, hey, do you want to come manage this project? I was like, screw it. Yeah, let's give it a go. Because commentary was starting to be quite hard to get into, being a European. Most of the events were in North America or in North American studios. So I was like, I'll just give it a go. And that's when I did Dreamhack Leipzig, to go back to the before I told the full story. So Dreamhack Leipzig was the last event I did before I became a manager coach.
Yeah.
And that was the first time I'd ever commentated a fully multinational tournament, like top tier level tournament. And I casted the final with Shogun, and everyone was like, oh, this is the best casting duo in Rocket League. And so off the back of that, they were like, hey, do you want to come be a caster in RLCS? And I was like, I'm sorry, I've committed to being a manager coach. And they didn't have quite the right set of circumstances to do that at the time. I looked back at some emails which I'd sent off and basically went, I need a yearly contract, I need to have this much pay, I need to be flown out, given accommodation, all this kind of stuff, given a visa, and so on. And they were like, we can't offer that. And that's now what the casters get offered. So like, yeah, that's why I'm doing it now.
It's mad how sort of, and it's weird that it is like this, and it's unfortunate that it's like this, but casting is very like location based, but it sort of swings and roundabouts, because I mean, I found this with Hearthstone, especially as time went on. A lot of the stuff ended up being quite America based, and again, if you don't have a visa, you're not gonna get the work anymore, which is one of the reasons I moved away from Hearthstone. But like, there's also the other side of things, which is that for casting and hosting in general, people like British accents.
They do, yeah.
You tend to have a huge advantage for being British when it comes to casting.
It's exotic in the casting world.
Two reasons, right? One is that Americans like to listen to British accents. I'm generalizing, obviously, but like that tends to be the case. But also two, you've got America and you've got Europe. And unfortunately, although there are a lot of really brilliant European casters that aren't native English speakers, some companies that hire casters are sort of biased against non-native English speakers because they want to make sure that everyone is going to be able to easily understand and enjoy the broadcast. And again, that's not to take away from anyone. If anything, that adds to any successful non-native English speaking casters that do cast in English. They've done a freaking phenomenal job at sort
100%.
of elbowing their way into the door and earning their place and keeping it. But that has served to be another advantage for people born in England, because it's almost like any casting event in Europe you're more likely to get.
Yeah.
So yeah, it
varies the broadcast. You can imagine if you've got 5 people all talking and they've all got very similar accents, you do lose yourself in the conversation because it doesn't sound as exciting. That was part of the fun of the Among Us. Go back to that. It's like when you listened into a meeting, there'd be so many different accents, and even just within the UK, the different accents across the country. A good friend of mine, Ian Chambers, he's amazing on a broadcast because he's so northern. So when he's talking, everyone's all kind of jolly and that because he's got really nice northern accent. Everyone's and then when you get a posh person come into that, it kind of bounces off of each other. And then we've got Johnny Boy in Rocket League who's Scottish, and that really helps. So having the different accents is a big.
And then you've
advantage.
got Cole and Stumpy who are the same person.
And and they have received pronunciation like me, and Shogun who is from Norfolk but has received pronunciation now as well. Yeah, we've all got received pronunciation, which makes it quite hard. But when you add us into the group of Americans, the advantage I've got is I'm very well spoken, and my character in the broadcast, I say character, my role within the broadcast is to be the smart one.
Smart one, yeah.
So the fact that I'm well spoken English, receive pronunciation, and I need to be smart, it wouldn't work if I was the goofy one with this voice. Yeah. Because you need to sound like your role, you know?
My role ended up being like kids TV presenter vibes when I was casting.
And you nailed it, right? With when you did your Brawl Stars, I remember tuning into a Brawl Stars. I was like, you've nailed the like this is for everyone kind of vibe. Yeah. And that's hard to do because that's a lot of energy.
That's something that I've always been a big believer of, though, in esports broadcasts, and particularly in Hearthstone, it's difficult because when it's a card game. It's hard to follow if you don't sort of understand it. And you tend to get, in the high-level tournaments, the casters just sort of talking at such a high level that anyone that doesn't understand what every card does, etc., it just isn't going to understand it and zone out. And I worked really hard to try and get that balance where it's like, I'm not dumbing it down, so I'm trying not to dumb it down so that the people that actually do understand know what they're talking about. But I'm just trying to squeeze in enough extra, what some would call redundant information, but it's just to catch people up, just to make it that little bit more accessible. Yeah. And, sometimes people, on the Reddit threads, idiots telling us all this rubbish that we already know. It's like, yeah, I know that, but like, I'm just trying to help out the few percent of people that aren't quite at that level. And I just think that's important when it comes to esports broadcasts. I think it's important to try and get, whenever I watch a League of Legends broadcast, because I've never played the game, it literally just goes over my head.
I'm the same,
That's not to say that the casters are doing a bad job at all, but like I'm a blank slate entirely, so I've got no idea what's going on. That kind of came up.
We were talking about that the other day. Who were we talking about that with? We were talking about content creation, and I was saying about accessibility to someone. We were talking about, and I was saying that like one of the things I struggle with the most, I think, is that when I make videos about Pokemon, I talk on a level that I assume they know what I'm talking about. So if I just said like, oh, Route 113 in the Hoenn region, I don't feel like I should need to paint a picture of what that route is and what's there.
I think it was Phil. I think you were talking to PD Winnell about
this. And I was saying that like what I really struggle with is like that accessibility thing. And he was saying, well, it's a pro and a con. Because what I talk about is the deep lore of Pokemon, and so it's a niche topic anyway. And so me talking in a very like, if you're here, you're probably already a higher level of expert when it comes to Pokemon, is a bonus in that I feel that I know what I'm talking about, and I'm hopefully not going to get those Reddit posts of, why does he treat me like I'm a child? But at the same time, also makes the content non-accessible. It means I've got, even if I've got good topics, they're not gonna blow up and be seen by loads of people.
The problem is with the
know?
Reddit posts is that, I mean, again, presumably most people are watching your videos because they want to watch your videos. Sure, you'll be the odd person, I guess, hate watching. That's just the way that it is. But like when it comes to big esports productions where you've got like 60, 70,000 live viewers, a lot of people are there to just sort of be angry at the world and let that out. You know, I've unfortunately I've seen Twitch chats and I've participated in streams where the Twitch chats have been like incredibly racist or incredibly homophobic or anything like that. And unfortunately, that's sort of the reality of Twitch chat and people on the internet. And I hope that changes and continues to change. Speaking of Twitch chat and Twitch in general, though, Gregan, have you been following the leaks recently? All the news about Twitch and what's changing?
The potential changes to the way the income was?
Supposedly the 70-30 split that people have got and earned over the years is being reverted back to 50-50. There's going to be more of an emphasis on ad revenue. Do you know who Devon Nash is?
I recognize the name, but I don't know.
He's just an industry expert. He made like an hour-long video. I think I've watched it all the way through. You've watched it.
I've watched it, though I was tired when I watched it, so a lot has.
Another one, Alpha Gaming, Harris Haller. He made a video last night that's literally titled like Twitch is throwing.
There's another video titled Twitch wants you to stream on YouTube, which is a good video.
But yeah, Twitch is in a really odd space now. I mean, Harris Haller was saying that he's almost certain that at some point in the next few years, maybe Devon Nash did this too, at some point in the next few years, Amazon's probably just going to give up on Twitch because it seems to just be more effort than the money that it's actually making them.
Yeah,
it's weird because I feel like the sub system, I was speaking about this with a friend recently, just doesn't make sense once you get beyond a certain size. And even on that size, if you're trying to sub to someone to support them, there's so many other ways you can support them that are better for them.
Yeah.
So like the gifting subculture is one I've never really fully understood. Obviously subs are great in a lot of communities because just to use Harry as an example, whenever I sub to her, I then hung out in her community and she has like a sub only community, which is really active. I think that's an amazing system to have a cheap cost to run a community, right?
Mm-hmm.
There should be more of this in gaming. There should be more subscription-based community services because when you look at like sports and community centers, they work in a similar way, right? And the thing about subs is if you're not going to just use the benefits yourself and you're planning to do it to support your streamer, what's the intention? Are you doing it for that little burst of adrenaline on the shout out? Are you doing it for giving, like, are you actually trying to get more people into the community? Does that actually work? And then the big one is, are they at a subscriber level where they're earning money through things like sponsorship deals, ad revenue, YouTube revenue, whatever it is? Like, I don't want people to sub to me on Twitch because I make my money through my job. And if people subscribe to me on Twitch, I feel guilty that money is firstly going to me, and I shouldn't say this really, but is going to Twitch, right?
Yeah.
Like, I want Twitch to keep going, and I want Twitch to run as a service because it's amazing. It provides loads of opportunities. But it does feel a little bit like redundant to rely on subs at a high income level of a streamer. I don't know. I just don't like the system of subbing. I feel like it preys on that parasocial relationship as well a little bit.
It's you know what, it's always bothered me to a degree. And last year more than ever with Among Us and everything, like Twitch was my main income, right? And it just feels so, to me, difficult. I went through a phase of doing it because it was the meta and everyone was, sub trained, can we sub? And I always do any savers as a meme and that kind of thing. But like, there's something about asking for subs that really, it always makes me feel weird. And maybe not so bad now because, the content's not doing as well. I don't have like loads of crazy sponsorships and that kind of thing. But when it was doing really well last year, which is when people were pushing me more than ever, you should push for subs, It's like, they've got these sponsorships. Now is the time I don't really need it. And it just feels weird. I'm having a great time making cool content that people are enjoying. Why do I want to I don't want to squeeze them. I want to squeeze their money out of them and try and milk the viewers for everything they've got. And it's a weird situation. And I want to say before I get into this next thing, I don't mean any disrespect for anyone that does what I'm about to talk about, because people do it because it's the meta and it's almost expected of people now. But something I really have come to detest about Twitch culture is subathons. I'm almost at war with the idea of subathons at this point. I know I've mentioned it a few times off stream recently. I've mentioned it a couple times on stream. I hate it. I hate that people are doing them so frequently that it makes other people feel like they have to do it to keep up, and it just leads to everyone streaming unhealthy hours. And it leads to viewers feeling that they've got to like put all their money out in order to keep these streams going. It's just this very weird, I just think, unhealthy situation. And it's no one's fault. It's no one that started it. It's no one's fault for doing it. But like, I kind of wish it would just stop. I really, every time I see a friend that they're doing a subathon, I just think it makes me feel a little bit sad. Not because they're not sad at them, but sad that they are sort of in this position where they've got to do it. No one should have to stream for 24 hours without a break, you know?
I feel like the reward for getting a sub, like emotes are, they're fine, they're cool. You can get some cool emotes, and animated emotes are even cooler, fine. But like the actual reward of the attention of a streamer at this point, like, you know, I've experienced receiving a subscriber on Twitch before, maybe now hundreds of times over the course of 7 years, and so there's only so many times I can sort of say, oh wow, thank you so much, that's so amazing, before it's like, I just sound like a robot, and I don't even know, you know, I'm not really engaging with it in the way that is really deserving of the fact that someone's giving me money.
Yeah.
That I should be giving more to that. The more and more I listen and watch Harris Heller videos and Devin Nash videos and talk to other community members, and we're chatting about Twitch and the exclusivity thing, which is another thing in the leagues, is I just feel like the perk of being a partner, which is getting the subs, well, of being an affiliate, you get the subs. I'm just wondering, like, every week I think, maybe this is the week that I just restream to YouTube. Not because then, while the audience that I'd get on YouTube is, like, different from the audience that I get on Twitch, I want the more community-driven aspect of Twitch. If I'm restreaming to both, the YouTube advertises the Twitch. But you can't restream without risking losing your partner or an affiliate. But then what's the pros of having partner or even affiliate at this point? Is it just the sub? Because for the sake of the $150, $100 a month that I make off of Twitch subs, maybe I'd be better off just saying, like, look, I'll be honest, I'd rather have a slightly bigger audience. There's a donation button there if you really, really want to use it. It's better, you get better cut through a donation than you do through subs anyway. And I really just want to use this as a place to have a community before Amazon eventually shut it down.
Yeah, you're right. You're
you know
right
what I
that.
mean?
Like the benefits of partner, I guess there's lots of little small benefits throughout the year. Like, for example, TwitchCon, right? Partners will get benefits at TwitchCon, like partner party.
Yeah.
But to be honest, you'd probably be able to go to that.
You get those anyway.
You get those with a big enough YouTube anyway. Or like a, I don't know, discounted ticket for TwitchCon, or having stuff sent to you, or being offered opportunities here and there. I don't know. Like, I think
it's supposed to feel like the it thing. Like, I'm like we were saying about you're verified on Twitter earlier, and like it is cool to be verified on Twitter. And I agree with the stance that obviously you're gonna get noticed more when you follow people, 100%. When you get recognized by brands, all of those other things. And at the end of the day, though, like I'm not too fussed about it. It would be cool. It would definitely be more beneficial to have. But with Twitch partner, people work so hard to
partner,
get there.
The thing is, the conversation that rarely comes up nowadays with partner is that it's changed so much over the years as well.
Yeah.
When I got partner, there was no affiliate. You literally couldn't get subscribers unless you were a partner back then. And over the years, things have changed. Affiliate is the new thing that basically anyone can get. Well, yeah, I mean, anyone can get if you're willing to put a month's work in. And that's a really good thing. I don't want to be misinterpreted here. Affiliate's fantastic. It's so good that anyone can make money streaming. But the sort of other side of that is that being a partner really isn't the be-all and end-all anymore.
Yeah.
And there have been some outspoken people over the years that have been partners that have fought and gotten their partnership, and then they've gotten upset because, now everyone's got the perks that I've got. No one should be sad about that. It's good. Everyone should, have a chance to earn money on Twitch. But you guys are talking about the be-all and end-all of being partner. And there are people now that still nowadays are like, yeah, my goal is partner. I really want to get partner. And to be totally honest, nowadays, it's really not all that. It isn't.
I've had a friend who got it recently, and she was like Little Miss Houndoom on Twitch, and she's working so hard, right? She's hustling hard. She's getting the views up. She's streaming all the time. I'm sure she'll be a guest on the podcast at some point.
Yeah,
and
she says she will, yeah.
she spoke to me. She said, I submit my application. And I haven't heard back in like 4 weeks, and I'm really anxious about it, and I just really, really want it. And I was saying to her, like, well, and I'm glad for her that she has in fact now got it. That's the twist at the end. But I was just saying, like, don't worry too much if you don't, because to be anything, I'm at the point where I'm thinking I might just like not purposefully sacrifice it, but like risk it and just go ahead and multi-stream on YouTube, do my thing. If I lose access to my subscribers on Twitch, does it matter?
I think the tick is probably the biggest benefit, like on any verification system.
Yeah.
I remember back, probably about 4 years ago, there was a streamer in Rocket League who streamed during the day, and they weren't relevant at all, but they had a verification tick from where they used to stream like H1Z1 or something, right? So they had it not for Rocket League at all. They had no followers from Rocket League. They were streaming every day, and they grew so quickly, partly because of the hours that they did during the day. But I think a lot of people probably clicked on them and went, oh, this person's verified, therefore they are a streamer.
But, yeah.
In today's meta, I don't know, what does that matter when 99% of people are watching 4 streamers? Right?
Yeah.
When 99% of the platform is like 4 streamers,
that's something else I wanted to
right?
bring up, right? So the other day there was, the Overwatch thing. Watch Overwatch for 4 hours, you get access to it. I got home, I was out that evening, I got home, was like, I'd better stick an Overwatch stream on. And I did what probably most of Twitch did, and I shouldn't have done this. I should have supported a smaller streamer, but I was just trying to do something really quickly. I just stuck XQC on my other monitor and then moved on with what I was doing. And firstly, I wanted to bring up, I watched him get so many subs and not acknowledge them at all. And at this point, like, so many gifted subs. And at this point, it's sort of like, why are you even gifting a sub to XQC if he's not even going to acknowledge it?
He's a millionaire, right?
And
like,
then, and that's where it's weird, right? It's someone that, like, and again, I'm going to say he doesn't need the subs. Everyone wants more subs. Everyone wants more money. Of course they do. Like, of course everyone does. But, like, and it's not to say that he doesn't deserve what he's getting. He's obviously earned it. But, like, why are you giving a millionaire money? They're not even going to thank you, acknowledge, or maybe even notice it. Like, Twitch culture is weird, dude. Twitch culture is weird.
No, it's definitely preying. I've spoken a lot about this recently with friends around parasocial relationships, and I'm starting to come to terms with where that's come from for myself and where my understanding of my social relationship with lots of people was.
Yeah.
Especially, like, we've spoken about the friends we made through Among Us, and like the people we've met over this time. I've met hundreds and hundreds of people. Even just your birthday the other day, Toby. I met so many people at that event, and I'm like, one of those could very easily create a parasocial relationship with me, whereby they follow me and they start messaging me every single time I post a story, replying to it, whatever it is, right? It could happen. And that's the world we live in, where through social media, we can get access to other people's lives and see everything that they share without them seeing anything of your own. And there's lots of the friends within the Among Us group, or people I've met at parties or whatever, where I've looked back through my interactions with them. I'm like, this is so one-sided.
Yeah.
And it's really unhealthy. And what Twitch has done is it's created this really unhealthy relationship where you've got a streamer who streams 3 hours of their full social energy to people who are giving zero energy back but feel like they are.
Yeah.
And so your viewers, your mods, even like the viewer to mod relationship can often be parasocial, right?
Oh yeah.
Like, mods seem like this like crazy character in the chat who everyone respects, and actually they're just another viewer. And this is the unhealthy online relationship issue that we're all trying to come to terms with, and it's taken me a long time to even acknowledge it, let alone understand it and come to terms with it and start to fully understand my relationship with other people. Like you two, I consider friends. And your friends were...
Yeah, you're a good acquaintance, Gregan.
Yeah, but I was going to say your friends whereby I don't message you frequently. Whenever we see each other, we hang out, we have a good time, we'll go for a drink, whatever it is. If you're ever in the area, you'll say hello. If you ever wanted to stay at my house because you're in London, you would. But you're not people who I message every day. You're not people who I engage with regularly. I don't play games with you all the time. And then it's like, okay, now I want to build those really important relationships with the few people I do spend every day with, the people I chat to most days. Yeah. And there were people who I was pushing away, even though I wanted them in my life, because I was chasing after other relationships that weren't given back to me. And I do worry a lot for the hardcore Twitch viewers, the hardcore, Twitch mods who mod for all these different streamers, and they feel like they've got this really close connection with all these different streamers, but actually they're just a mod.
It's hard on Twitch because the word parasocial relationship I've been familiar with really since about 2012, back when the vlogging community of London was really like at the height of its power before sort of niche YouTube channels who did, you know, woodworking and Pokemon and stuff started coming up and doing, you know, different, now there's a niche for everything. But with vloggers, it was very much like, let me tell you about the personal things going on my day, and a million people would watch and go, I feel like I know you. So that discussion happened then Twitch came along, and that barrier got even worse, because in order to be a successful Twitch streamer, and for the high level Twitch streamers, they're streaming maybe 16 hours 16 hours of their life every day to an audience of thousands of people who all go to bed watching them, take them to the toilet with them, take them to the kitchen with them, and the level of like, well, because there's no editing as well, like with me, I've always been really strict about the relationship I have with my viewers being one at an arm's distance. Yeah. Having this closed door approach. My personal life is my personal life. I'm a Pokemon creator. I talk about Pokemon. There's a arm's length there, and you know, and all that. With Twitch, it's so much harder because you are literally involved in someone's life for as long as they're willing to have your tab open, you know? And especially when they get involved in the chat, they feel like they know other people in the chat. My mum, I'll go home. Mum watches streamers. She doesn't watch any of the streamers you would have watched. She watches a bunch of random people in America who are talking like nonsense about what's going on politically or arguments they're having with each other. But she feels like she knows them. And when she feels like she's not being acknowledged in the chat, Mum will say, like, I just think they're rude now because they've not acknowledged me in the chat. And she's genuinely upset. And I'm like, Mum, it doesn't matter. Like, none of it, it's not real. Like, I know it feels real, but none of it's real. It doesn't matter. You know,
it's difficult as well with, you're talking about friendships in that way. I find that as I've sort of, especially before the pandemic, been traveling to different events and meeting different people, and, you know, you befriend people at events, sort of knowing when those friendships are going to transcend the event and sort of like, are we then going to sort of hang out sort of back in our own country? Are we going to like hang out at other events and stuff in the future? And it can be very difficult to know what situation is what. Sometimes you want to be friends with someone, you're too anxious to reach out to that person.
Especially if you've seen them before, you know, and or you've watched their content.
An example that I'm going to bring up sort of on a personal level is my friend Jari. Sophia went paintballing a couple of days ago for this Sniper Elite event, and sort of reconnected with Sophia, someone who I'd hung out with at a bunch of events for a couple of years ago and haven't really seen since. And it was just so nice, like reconnecting. It's like, oh, I forgot how well we get on. Let's meet up, and we're going to meet up at some point in the next couple of weeks, and that's nice. It's nice to sort of find, oh yeah, do you know what, you are someone that I should be.
That's very adult friendshipy, isn't it? Like when you're at school, you spend all that time around each other. You see each other in class, and when you get to adulthood, your friendship can often be quite distant. I mean, to use a good example for me with my struggle with relationships is 2 of my best friends have girlfriends, have a house and a dog. So they're in a very different stage of life to single old London bound me, you know? So when I want to hang out with them, I have to go to their level, which is let's make a weekend out of it. Let's book somewhere to go and all that kind of stuff. Yeah. Whereas I'm in the let's just pop round the corner to the pub level of forming friendships.
I mean, I literally messaged you 2 days ago. I was like, hey, you still fancy the podcast in a couple of days? You're like, yeah, sure.
Yeah, because that's the life I live right now. Whereas if they had that, they'd have to think, oh, who's going to look after the dog? Who's going to... When can I fit it in? Or I have to travel all that way because I now live out of London in a cute little village or whatever it is.
The age-old thing of, like, for a lot of people, like, they're colleagues, you know? And, like when we first would have spoken, it would have been... I would have put that relationship as, like... Oh yeah, we're colleagues, right?
Streaming colleagues.
It then takes time for you to realize, oh, we vibe with each other. Cool. We could reasonably probably have a drink. And oh, okay, actually, do you know what? This is like a lot of fun. You're just a friend. Come over. We'll do sleepovers. We'll watch movies. All that or whatever. Yeah. If we wanted to, you know, and that's like an option. Even though that's not necessarily like the people you speak to every day. It's like, okay, well, this is another friend. And I found a lot of friends through work. Definitely, it's harder when they are someone that you've watched before or that you've seen their content before. There's that struggle of like, even if I've not wanted it, I know things about you because I've seen your videos, and that's so. How do I do that? We've had that with I don't want to name any names because I feel almost embarrassed that I would have ever seen someone not in that way. But yeah, no, I don't want to say any names, but there are definitely YouTubers. There are vloggers.
I had a very similar interaction recently at a party where it was someone who I didn't know much about at all, except for I just knew their names. I'd seen them streaming, and they're at a friend. You're at the party as well. It was a friend's party. I walked up to them, and I did the one thing which I hate other people doing to me, which is I didn't introduce myself because I knew them through their stream.
Right.
So I walked up to them and I went, "Hey, it's you. I've seen your stream once or twice. It's nice to meet you." And they went, "And you are?" And I was like, "Oh my god, I can't believe I've done this."
Yeah.
And I've spoken to them since because we now chat a lot. They went at that time. They went super defensive because they thought,
Close up.
This is parasocial relationship vibes right here. This person knows me. I don't know them. They know a lot about me. What do they know? Why are they talking to me? What's their interest? Do they have a crush on me because they've watched me loads of times? And it was just because in that moment, I had entered a conversation in an unnatural way, which is normally you enter a conversation, you don't know each other, or you both know each other. So therefore, you enter that and you both introduce and so on. I've
done that like literally on stage with another creator where, and the problem is I do think the thing that YouTuber makes, I think their videos are cool. I think they're genuinely cool. So I would consider myself a fan in that I enjoy your content, right? So we're doing the whole like, and this is on stage at an industry event, and we're like, just quietly, we're getting ready for this Mario Kart tournament. And I say to the guy, "Hey, it's good to meet you. I'm Toby." And they're like, "Oh, cool, PJ." I'm like, yeah, I know. I'm a what? What do I say here? Do I say I'm a fan? Yeah, I've seen your videos. Do I say nothing and just, I don't know. And I
love your content.
Well, and it should be fine. So I went, yeah, I've seen, fan of what you make. I try to like blend that line, and I could feel it. I could feel the tension. Maybe it was just from me, but I could feel the tension of like, the wall goes up, right? And it's fair enough. I've got that wall,
I'm a fan of your content. I don't know if you're meeting on you're doing a panel with this person, right?
Yeah.
I don't know if you're meeting on the same level as fellow creators.
We're literally on stage together.
I think it's fine for you to be like, I'm a fan of your content.
Maybe you just missed the mark with the way you said it, or perhaps you caught them at the wrong time, or who knows.
Or maybe you just felt weird about it.
Or maybe I just felt weird about it, and it wasn't because I know that I would feel weird if someone came to me and said, that's how I know you. There are very few, when it comes to the viewer side of it, there are a handful of viewers that I will say, yeah, they've transcended. They are now what I'd consider friends. And usually that is a process that happens very naturally over a long amount of time.
Yeah.
Typically with the viewer stopping being a viewer at some point. And then but you just keeping in loose enough contact that eventually you're like, yeah, I guess we
I got
are
a
friends,
question on the sort of fan level thing what you're talking about there. So with a very specific example.
Mm-hmm.
So you had a birthday thing last week,
yeah.
right?
Yeah.
If you had a friend who was at your birthday thing, hanging out at it, and you introduced me to them as your housemate and friend and other content creator and do stuff or whatever, and if I then said to that person, "Oh yeah, I'm a big fan of your content," is that weird? So I've met them at a social gathering. You are a mutual friend. I live with you. And I've just said about fan. Is that weird?
I mean, it's not weird for me.
I don't think it happened, by the way.
No.
It's just a very specific.
I think it would be fine. I think
it's fine too.
I think it's
personally.
fine, and that's true. But that's also a very specific situation. You're not meeting them at a con. You're not meeting them at an event. You're meeting them at a birthday party. And so I think that's fine. I think depending on how you say it.
Party.
Yeah, a private birthday party. I think that's fine. I think there is the chance that they might feel a little like, oh, can I be, myself or relaxed? But maybe
For
not.
me, I'd
Probably
feel if someone was like, oh yeah, I've watched you play Among Us, I'd be like, oh, that's cool. I don't know.
Yeah.
I personally,
yeah.
And maybe it's because I'm not in that sort of I'm not sort of in a sort of celebrity mindset.
Yeah.
But for me, I'd be flattered, I think.
I think most people would be flattered. I think most people would be, but I do think there's definitely room for that because
whenever anyone's been like, oh yeah, I watched you commentate Race to the World first, or I used to like your Hearthstone casting. I've only ever been like flattered with that kind of thing.
Yeah, I think it really is the circumstance of it just being a normal meeting interaction. I think it's if you're in a specific setting where someone has announced, so for example at a convention, someone has announced I'm at this convention, and they meet you there and then proceed to stay with you and hang out with you and try and befriend you in that way. I think that's when it starts to get a little bit weird. Like in that setting, you're in an environment where we can just be friends. and the fact that you're a fan of the content.
Like when we were 16 and we tried to befriend Rooster Teeth.
Yeah, I think, and you
can't.
definitely feel that forcefulness. I have a sort of horror story, and I don't want to be too mean about this person because I think they were very well intentioned and very nice. But there was someone who I was sitting at a convention with a bunch of other Pokemon friends, and it was like the day before the convention, so we're just getting some drinks, catching up, talking about our personal lives and work lives, and for some of the creators at the table, they are very naturally themselves on camera. But for the others like me, yeah, but there's a difference, and like I don't talk about like, certainly at that time wouldn't talk about my like, dating life or anything, wouldn't want to on the internet. And there was someone sat on a table next to us, and I went up to get a drink, and they came up and they said, "Hey, can I buy you a drink?" And I sort of went, "Oh, no, thank you, though. That's really, really kind," and went back to my chair because I felt that would have been. Well, I know I'm not going to spend the next half hour talking to you, and I kind of get the vibe that you know me as a. I think they may have even said like I'm a viewer or something. Then another one of the YouTubers went up and they offered to buy them a drink, and that guy went, "Would you, mate? Yeah, go on, come and hang out." And what ended up happening was we then spent the next 6 hours with this person at the table, and they didn't blend well with the dynamic, and that some of us felt a little bit more awkward that there was someone there that we, we know he's a viewer, we don't know who he's a viewer of, and we don't know what the situation is there, and like, and I felt awful because the next day we had all agreed, we'll go down for breakfast the next day, and that person was there, and I was like, oh, great, I'm sure they're a lovely person. I'm sure they are very well intentioned, very kind. It just didn't feel appropriate. It just didn't feel right. And unfortunately, there was a message the next day where they said, "Hey, I decided I'm going to leave early because I got the vibe that Toby didn't really want me there," and I felt awful. But they weren't wrong because I felt uncomfortable. I felt that I couldn't be myself.
You just wanted to hang out with friends and be yourself.
The night before,
and
the convention.
Spoiler, or like earth-shattering, fourth wall-breaking scenario.
Yeah.
Sometimes your favorite content creators don't act the same way in real life in a closed room, closed door scenario with their friends as they will in public. Yeah. Sometimes they're a little bit more offensive personally with friends, again, in a closed door environment than they would be online, etc.
Well, we wanted to have a conversation where we were going to talk shop. We were going, as in about, the channels and
talk about the channels, talk about finances, money, that kind of thing.
We're going to have a couple of drinks. We're going to share some drinks. We're going to talk about holidays and holiday plans and relationships and dating and like, all of that stuff is like something. It's like, oh, I gotta be BirdKeeperToby. That's not to say that I'm fake, completely fake when I'm.
He is.
I am. No, that's not to say I'm being completely fake. It's just that for me, that's a very catered experience that I make specifically, and it is me. But it's just the me that loves Pokemon and just that side of it. It's relatively one-dimensional. This podcast has been an opportunity for me to be a little bit more like the behind the scenes of the character, which, it sort of is a little bit.
Yeah, it's interesting to talk about that story because I was thinking back to a personal story of mine and thinking, I did that, but why wasn't it weird? Because that's part of it, right? It's a grey area of like people make friends that way. I mean, Cole and Stumpy. Stumpy was literally a viewer in the chat that Cole went, "You're more funny than me. Come join me on stream." And they're now incredibly successful duo.
I've just seen. I don't respond to Twitch chat too often. We're actually live in the main show of the podcast. But the Hearthstone caster Raven, a really great guys in the chat, and he just said, "I've been used by a viewer before to hang out with cooler people." That was brutal. And I actually think I know exactly what I think I know exactly the scenario he's talking about. And it sucks. It's happened to me as well. Like people sort of, using you almost as a stepping stone.
And the scenario for myself, so those kind of scenarios, they happen all the time. People coming up to you and I've got messages from people who know the people who I hang out with and they want to befriend me to then hang out with. I mean, just like the people who we met through the Among Us lobbies, like Freya and Talia, for example, right? I've had people befriend me to try and play Valorant with me so that I then bring them into a game where we play Valorant with Talia, for example. And then you've got to judge that and know who the right people are for that. Because I have brought people in to play with Talia and Talia in the vibe. And that's just based off of a grey area of judgment that you go, this person is a good person, so therefore I want it.
Speaking of Talia, I want to tell the story about because it's just so funny.
Yeah. Go for it. Okay, go for it.
So we were at this Nintendo event yesterday, Toby, me, and a few other friends. And it was Nintendo Switch Sports. The game looks great. But we had a go at it. I played some bowling. But anyways, across the sort of area, I saw someone who I thought looked like Talia. But I wasn't completely sure it was her. You know when you saw it a little bit of a distance, sort of had eye contact for a second as well. I quickly, awkwardly glanced away because I wasn't sure it was her. So I'm like on my phone, frantically trying to like look at her Instagram to see if she's posted a story of being there or anything like that. I can't find anything. So then we as a group are like edging towards her, and she's playing tennis with the shorter girl with red hair who I didn't recognize. Which is actually one of the reasons that I didn't think it was Talia, because I didn't recognize who she was with, and I figured she was with someone I'd recognize them. This is so bad. I'm such a bad person, such a bad friend. As I get closer to her, eventually I approach her. I'm like, Talia. And then I hear this other voice goes, Falcone! It's Talia's friend. I look over and I'm like, oh, G, hey, it's G Nelly. I didn't recognize her because her hair's red and I'm used to it being blue or brown. Like, and I told them both what happened. I told her, I was like, yeah, Talia, I was trying to see if you posted a story to work out if it was you or not. So, I've told them all of this, but so funny.
Well, the whole like recognizing people at an event thing as well, and like how do you approach them? And I think that's always the first impression is so important, right?
Yeah.
We speak about like the people coming over and like you looked into that person who offered you a drink and you knew that they were trying to buy your time through getting a drink.
I just felt that, yeah.
You felt it. And I remember one of my first times at a game convention, the first Insomnia I went to, I-51, I was there with the Nox crew. So we were a Minecraft build team. So to an extent, I had a networky level of friendship that I could make. It wasn't just a viewer. But I saw the Minecraft 5 guys who were there from Minecraft, and I loved Minecraft. I watched all of the different creators in Minecraft. I thought they were amazing. And I thought, Joe, what? Screw it. I'm not going to go with the Nox crew now. I'm going to go over and offer them to buy a round and just like see how they're doing, right? Because in my head, I was 18. That's how you make friends, right? And I did that. And off the back of that, we spent the whole evening together. They were lovely guys, had such a good time. Very similar to the scenario you just said about, but like, we had the best night ever. Like it was like we stayed up until like 4 a.m. and I remember Milby being like, when you go home, down 2 pints of water. It's the first time I'd ever heard the whole like downing water before bed after drinking kind of thing. And I off the back of that didn't think much of it. A few of them followed me, that kind of thing, and then we had that connection. But I didn't think much of it. I didn't like obsess over it. I was then their viewer, so they'd have seen me in Twitch chat. They'd have seen me in all those kind of situations. And then about a year later, I was in a club on my birthday and it hit midnight and we were like, yeah, it's my birthday, woo, that kind of thing.
Yeah. I
checked my phone and Pyro, who was one of that lot, the Minecraft lot, said, happy birthday, mate. Hope Rocket League's going well, because he'd seen that I'd been doing Rocket League stuff through Twitter. And I went, I didn't even know you knew me. Like in my head, I was like, I was just a viewer. Yeah. And off the back of that, we did something like 60 episodes of Rocket League together.
Brilliant.
I streamed my first viewers from them.
Sometimes viewers do it correctly. I mean, I was going to bring up an example who has actually just popped up in chat and said, I'm surprised Dad still talks to me. Barney the Kid, as he's now known. I can't do it, right? Hans as a viewer that had sort of been hanging out on my stream for a bit, and I met at Twitch London. Now, the point of Twitch London is for streamers to hang out, but also viewers to hang out, and there is that. You go to Twitch London expecting viewers to be approaching and everything, and that's it's fine. And he offered to buy me a drink, and we hung out for a bit there. Not like loads of time. He wasn't like weird about it or anything. Like we bumped into each other again later, hung out for a bit. He bought me a drink. Cool. And then we became friends because later on, it's like I'm streaming Halo Infinite and I literally matched in a game against him. And he just pops up in my chat. I was like, hey, I'm pretty sure I just killed you. Like, oh yeah, that's you. That's funny. And I was looking for people to play with. And he's like, oh, I can play if you want. I was like, yeah, do you know what? I've met you. You're all right. You've streamed before as well. Yeah, jump in. Cool. And we just got closer that way. And so sometimes it does work out nicely like that. And we're pretty good friends now. But yeah, gotta go about it the right way, I guess.
I got really lucky once.
The stars have got to align as well. Like there's definitely luck involved.
Yeah. And understanding when to not keep pursuing it when
Absolutely.
it doesn't work.
Yeah,
that's the point where it becomes a problem.
I definitely think it's better that we end up in a situation where like maybe I've put up the wall and then they've sort of backed off and then I've gone, oh, maybe I didn't need to be as defensive about that, and then I can just say like, hey, look, I'm really sorry if I seemed off last time. Like I just wasn't sure like how you knew me or anything like that, and usually people are pretty understanding of that. I got really lucky with my friend Bry, he's a musician, and I had heard his music like in passing once or twice before. I had seen a video or two with him in or whatever, and he was just one of those faces that would appear at the YouTube space a lot. and I'd hang out at the YouTube space a lot, and there was that moment of like, okay, we've now seen each other at one too many parties. Do we know that we know who each other? Does he know who I am? That kind of thing. And I got so lucky we were just in the toilet after a couple of drinks, and he went, "You're Toby, right?" And I'm like, "Yeah." And I think you're Bright. And he's like, "Yeah." Okay, cool. Yeah, people say nice things about you. Oh, cool. People say nice things about oh, great. And then friends. Yeah. Great, cool, wonderful.
Yeah.
Easy.
You and Brian have been friends for a long time now.
We haven't seen each other in ages though, which is gutting. Hopefully one day he'll come and do something like this. But he doesn't. He's an interesting one because he's a musician. For those of you who don't know, you should check out Brian
Tour.
Yeah, Brian on Tour is what he's going, because I know it used to be Bri, now it's Brian on Tour. He does great stuff. I'm genuinely.
Is he the guy who looks like Matt Smith? I feel like
he used to look.
Yeah, maybe he looks different now.
Not so much anymore.
I remember back in the day he used to do a lot of Doctor Who stuff in the vlogging scene. Like he used to be quite into that. Well, I don't. It might be a different Brian.
I don't really know. No, I think that might be. But yeah, really, really lovely, really cool guy, really interesting, creative person. But we used to be. Well, we still are friends, but we just don't talk as much anymore, or get the chance to hang out because he moved to another country, so he's not here anymore.
That'll do it.
That kind of does it. But really interesting guy, just because like he came up as a musician through YouTube and kind of definitely had the option, I think, to be a YouTube superstar, and just said like, no, I'm a musician, and wanted to. We had a lot of discussions about him saying like, oh, the music industry doesn't take the YouTube thing seriously at all, and it's just really interesting. Hopefully he'll come on and tell us all about that and be a podcast guest at some point. But yeah, really nice dude.
It would be cool. Yes. No, I was literally about to...
Did we mind read?
Thank you for the reminder. Although I was literally about to do this anyway. Gotta try it. I want to organically swivel into this. So you know that I've been doing some kind of different jobs recently. Some weird things. Like I worked for the Coca-Cola company a few weeks ago. Mm-hmm. Did, I guess, what can best be described as consulting for them. Talking about consultant in this space. Talking about content creation and that kind of thing. Well, next, or the week after next, I'm doing something a little bit different. And that is I am hosting a stream for Pot Noodle about internships. And it's particularly relevant for you guys watching live on Twitch. Again, if you're not watching live, the podcast is live on Twitch Saturday nights, twitch.tv/Falcone. But the broadcast is actually going to be here on my Twitch stream. It's going to be right here. So they've provided me with a few talking points to mention. So if you are interested, it's going to be 9th and the 10th of May between 4 p.m. and 8 p.m. Streamed, again, like I said, streamed from this Twitch channel, twitch.tv/Falcone. And it's to promote the launch of Pot Noodle's new internships website, which is www.potnoodleinternships.com, which is offering 150 paid roles in 7 exciting industries: gaming, tech, film, streaming, music, fashion, sport, and publishing. 40 internships are live on the site already now, and 60 more are being added next week. During the Twitch stream, each hour will feature representatives from those industries, setting mini challenges for me and the other host, Jesse Mia J, speaking about the internships on offer, giving out prizes. Viewers can also ask questions about what the internships provide. And prizes that we'll be giving away on the stream will include tickets to the Strawberries and Cream Festival, a Raspberry Pi kit, a gaming headset, a camera, and more. So that's super cool. Again, the 9th and 10th of May, going to be right here at twitch.tv/Falcone. And yeah, again, a bit of a different job, bit of an interesting thing, but maybe even something that you guys are going to be interested in, because it's again, it's an alternative careers internship program, and I think it's exactly the kind of thing that we would have been interested in when we were at uni, Toby. Because we have pretty, all of us have pretty alternative careers.
Could I get it now? Could I get the internship?
I think you're probably a little beyond what you're probably beyond? Your skill set's probably.
Oh, that's okay. I thought you meant too old.
Well, that maybe that too. But no, I wanted to bring that up and promote it a little bit, because that's going to be happening in a couple of weeks.
Sounds fun.
Yeah, there's going to be some weird. I don't want to spoil too much, but some of the stuff we've got planned it's going to be pretty wild. What I will say is that I'm going to be trying to break a Guinness World Record to do with pot noodles at some point.
Oh, is that If it's related to eating, I want to see that. If it's related to eating them in a certain way or fast.
I think I'm gonna try and find a record that I'm able to break.
Okay, so it won't be eating them.
You know, there's a thing where people will fix broken objects with pot noodle.
Oh,
You've seen that where they take the noodles and you can use it as a replacement for ceramic, and then you like chisel it down and paint it. Maybe you could
I don't think I'm talented
something
enough
or
for that or anything actually.
the most pot noodles in your ear.
I'm also going to be singing, which will be something to.
With pot noodles in your ear?
It's like, I wish I was a punk rocker with pot noodles in my ear. Is that how it works? Is that the song?
Is that your singing?
Wait,
voice?
that was a song?
Okay.
Is it gonna be front page, or are you?
No. I don't think so. No. Maybe. Hey, Twitch, if you want to.
Quirky jobs come up, isn't it? You did pot noodle. You did this thing with Coke.
Go with the flow. I mean, touching on Twitch again. Like, I feel so due to the recent updates and the sort of how the culture's been recently, and the sort of backing away from a lot of the group content. Like, I feel so like de-incentivized to stream at the moment, and the sort of prevailing thing that people that aren't full-time streamers say is that like Twitch is a fantastic platform as a secondary income or secondary platform. Like, it's great for you for community building, Toby. For you for playing Rocket League and just hanging out with people, right? But like, as a main primary income, unless you've got that XQC X Factor, I suppose. I don't know. Or I say XQC. There's loads of people with it. Like Wolferbell's another great example of a fantastic streamer who's really managed to make it work.
Grind if you're gonna do it full
time. Do you know what?
Yeah.
I'm gonna do it. I've decided I'm going to multi-stream to YouTube. I'm gonna do it. I just don't. What am I getting from being a partner? What am I getting even from being an affiliate?
Subs. That's it. Right?
Okay, so I think I make, or I have made the last 2 months about $100 to $150. Not nothing, but the benefit from my audience is on YouTube. The benefit to like, if the whole point of it is,
probably right. I think
you
you're
know,
probably right.
like,
Yeah.
Why not? And people can always, if they want to support, they can give me a sub on YouTube if they can become a member, or I'll have a link to my Patreon, or they could donate, and it would probably mean.
I don't know if you
saw,
but YouTube put out a tweet after the Twitch
yeah,
links,
they did,
and it was like, yeah, just so you know, our split's always going to be this, and our partnership program is never going to have any exclusivity, and it's just
YouTube
dunking
are like
on Twitch.
Literally, like they know what the deal is. They're just like, I will look. Twitch is on fire. We're just gonna keep on like throwing a little bit of something flammable.
Fuel?
A little bit of gasoline on it every now and again.
Gasoline,
There you go. And they're just gonna keep on taking away the assets that work. And I think they're right. I think Twitch is doomed long term.
You know, the one of the big things that did you ever get? I don't know if you watched it, Gregan. There was the hour-long interview that Ludwig did with the head of YouTube,
Susan.
Yeah.
Sue. That's what we call her in the biz.
Oh, okay, of course it is. Yeah, Ludwig did an hour-long interview with her. It was so interesting. Ludwig being one of the former biggest streamers of Twitch, who was essentially bought by YouTube, and he cited the fact that he didn't feel like a person on Twitch. He didn't feel like they really cared, whereas YouTube actually fought for him. And originally he decided to go with Twitch and then changed his mind because he actually felt like YouTube actually fought for him. But yeah, he did this interview with her, and it was so interesting. And one of the things they talked about was he got this Chrome extension built, and it was essentially better YouTube. Like, it was an extension to make YouTube more like Twitch. And he was like, "You're not going to remove my extension, are you?" And she's like, no, we're trying to learn from it. Genuinely, YouTube are catching up to Twitch, I think, fast. They've always had one feature that I love compared to Twitch, which is you can just pause it.
Yeah.
You can't do that on Twitch. You can't pause and go back and rewatch parts of the stream.
You know, it's really silly as well, because I feel like what happened, the transition was Amazon said, wow, look at this up-and-coming technology that's making, it's a multi-billion-dollar industry. Look at it making money, this live streaming thing. Let's buy it now, and then wonderful, we'll have it for the future. And then they've just like gone like, cool, how do we turn a profit with this thing? Let's profit. And they've like ignored we've heard often people say about how the original sort of Twitch team, that's gone. It's an Amazon team now there for the most part. And that like whatever that core of like development, that just stopped. And then it's like, okay, now it's about, can it turn a profit? oh, we're going to need to turn the subs back to 50-50 apparently. It's like you're missing the point completely. And it feels like they're not listening to
the only problems that YouTube gaming have, I think, compared to Twitch is the culture isn't there yet.
Yeah.
There's no, like the frog and the Pepe and all of that stuff. The memes.
Yeah.
The memes just aren't the same on YouTube as they are on Twitch. I think YouTube tends to be a younger audience compared to Twitch. YouTube thrives in gaming where it comes to mobile games. Like the mobile game community on YouTube far exceeds the mobile game community on Twitch. But so it suffers with that. And the big thing for creators, the thing that Harris Heller has been banging on about for such a long time, gifted memberships. YouTube don't have gifted subs, essentially. There's no gifted subs, there's no rating. They are the two features that if YouTube had that, it would be so appealing for, because he was saying he used Pokemon as an example. It was like, if Pokemon moved to YouTube, so say that the 70-30 split thing does end up getting reverted back to 50-50 for all the creators like Pokemon, because she's obviously, I'm assuming she's going to be on the 70-30, one of the biggest creators. If she moved to YouTube, she'd probably get more viewers immediately. The only area in which she'd miss out is there wouldn't be gifted subs. That's it. And that's the case for a lot of creators.
But like we said before, I don't think gifted subs are healthy.
Well, no.
I think almost discouraging them by not having them and then being like, by the way, we're not going to do this because we think this is a silly thing.
True.
Maybe that would be a smart move if rather than going, oh, we haven't implemented it yet, or ignoring it. If they just go stupid, that might almost come across as a more thoughtful. We're actually thinking about what we think makes a good platform, one that's healthy for the viewer and the streamer.
To be honest, go on.
I was going to say, at the end of the day, like I'm seeing in chat, people are saying, "Oh, YouTube isn't as good for this reason, isn't as good for this reason." It's like Twitch chat isn't presented as nicely. Oh, the chat isn't presented as nicely, rather, etc., etc. It's like, yeah, okay, that's true, but these are just logistical issues that can actually be fixed and changed, probably quite easily on YouTube's part. The fundamental problems with Twitch are actually so much deeper.
Yeah. I think what I'm going to be doing is when I do this, probably this week now, because it's Saturday now, so when I stream on Monday and I try my first multi-broadcast stream, I think what I'll be doing is I'll probably just encourage Patreon, because it's like, or I'll leave the donation link there or anything. If I'm going to say one or the other, I'd say, look, I'm probably about to lose my Twitch subs now, so if you want to support, here's my Patreon. I'd rather have, if someone wants to support me financially, which no one ever has to do, but if they want to do it, I'd rather have that coming from another platform separate of either of them, because then it's just cool. If anything goes wrong with YouTube, there's Patreons there,
Yeah, I mean, the other thing as well, you don't have to necessarily do this multi-stream thing by not getting permission. You can just say, hey, look, I want a multi-stream.
True.
And go down the official route, because there are broadcasts who do that, like all esports broadcasts.
What, with permission?
Yeah, like for example, esports broadcasts will have that little verified tick, but they'll stream on YouTube and Twitch at the same time. They'll have a separate deal. There is a way to go about that.
How do I get one of these
You
deals?
could just ask the question. Just email Twitch partner support. Just say, I'd like to multi-stream.
Yeah,
I'd like to multi-stream on YouTube, where I believe it'll bring more people to the platform.
If you do not give me permission to multi-stream, I'm probably going to have to just move to YouTube. So
yeah.
True.
There you go.
Like,
drop that mic on them.
I didn't know that was an option. I didn't know we could do that.
Just ask the question.
Just ask the question. Why not? Communication.
It's just like in extremely mild early spoilers for Spider-Man No Way Home. It's like where Doctor Strange is like, you didn't just ask the question to the university. It's like, you can do that.
You can ask them. Well, okay, but you.
Yeah, why not?
Okay, no, I'll do that. But hang on. If I'm emailing like support at Twitch, that's gonna take how long to reply?
Put it this way: when I emailed them asking for the name at Falcone, I used to be Falcone Hosts. When I sent the email, I sent it on a Saturday asking if I could get at Falcone. By the Sunday morning, I had the thing. So Twitch partner support can reply quite quickly sometimes.
Okay, I'm gonna get on that tonight.
So
I'm gonna send that
immediately
email
after this podcast.
I will.
Yeah.
Maybe Monday won't be my first multi-stream, but hopefully Tuesday, the next week will either way.
Send the email off and then do the multi-stream and then be like, hey, I asked for permission, I didn't get a response.
Well, I asked for permission 24 hours ago. You didn't reply. How dare? Yeah.
No, I mean, Gregan's right. It's worth.
No, I'm gonna. You're totally right. I'm gonna add it to my to-do list now.
You'd be surprised how many things you can get if you just ask for it.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
It's true. It's true. But a lot of the time, people are just too afraid to ask questions like that. And that's obviously not the case with Toby. He's just too stupid.
No, I'm
but,
scared.
like-
I'm scared. Whoa.
Too stupid. Whoa.
Okay, I was going to fall on my sword there and be like, yeah, I'm scared. I'm a whip.
I-
But you're like, no, here's the actual sword. You're an idiot.
I see in Twitch chat someone saying ask forgiveness or permission. And I was thinking, you could go that route, but that's also much riskier.
Yeah.
Asking forgiveness after doing something that you know isn't allowed on a platform that you've signed a partnership contract for could actually land you in trouble. Whereas if you ask the question and they say no, it's like at that point, okay, fine in that case. But if they say yes, they're like,
Yeah.
Anyways, that's probably a pretty good length for the podcast.
Yeah.
To be honest. So is there anything else anyone wanted to chat about or bring up? Anyone's got any burning burns?
I mean, is there anything you want to ask before I go? I make it sound like there's something that's like I'm about to ask for a proposal
I'm
or something.
thinking.
Yeah, I mean, now's your chance.
Now is the chance to ask
I said
Gregan
with
a
friends
question.
earlier, but this is the last time I'm speaking to you guys. So.
Ever, yeah.
We're all very different.
It's a very professional way of ending the friendship. Just,
No, feel free to call it there. I'll come back another time if you think of something then.
okay, all right, cool. I know this is such a weird
This is a really weird end to the podcast.
Okay, well, I mean, firstly, Toby, where can these wonderful
You
people
can
find
find me as always just by searching BirdKeeperToby on whatever platform you like. On most of the platforms you like, you'll find me.
Great. Okay. And Gregan, is there anyone you'd like to shout out? Is there? Where can these people find you? All of that good stuff.
I'd like to shout out everyone who's watching and listening. I appreciate you all. If you've got to this stage,
Such a charmer.
You've
Kiss ass.
either left it on and only just realised, and it's got to the end of the podcast, or you are actually listening. And I mean, if you are, let us know what you thought of the podcast. I think.
Yeah, do that. Leave a comment.
Leave a comment. Let us know what you think. But,
Hopefully, I'll upload it at some point.
yeah. No, find me anywhere. Just search Gregan, Gregan. A few places it's Gregan Mike. But yeah, if you just find Gregan, you'll normally find me.
Oh yeah, your name's Mike, isn't it?
It is.
It's a bit weird that.
It is it's so confusing at parties when I introduce myself because I want to
Wait,
introduce.
you're a hot mic.
I am a hot mic.
We've just gone full circle to the beginning of the podcast.
Yeah.
Ah.
Imagine introducing yourself as Mike, and then someone comes over and goes, "Gregan!"
Dude,
and they're like, "What?"
I
What just
never know
happened?
what to introduce myself to as nowadays because
Yeah.
back when I was casting, everyone I worked with used to call me Dan, but then because Among Us, I'd put my display name as Falcone because I wanted the clout. The exposure, better word, is people were calling me that, and now I've got friends that just know me as Falcone. So when I go to events like the paintball thing the other day and I'm introducing myself to people, I genuinely don't know whether to go with Dan or Falcone. I just don't know what
I had a chat with some friends recently where I was like, I am now Mike. Please call me Mike. Stop calling me Gregan. We are friends. I am Mike. And I met them at the party and I was like, give it up. Let's just go with Gregan again. Because I'd introduced myself as Mike to people. And within 5 seconds, someone else would call me Gregan, and the person would be so confused, like, what is your name? Are you Mike or are you Gregan? Like, there's not even any similarity in them. Sometimes I introduce myself as Greg, as if Greg is my name, just to make it seem more normal.
Well, when we had Zero over last week for a few days before Toby's birthday thing, and we went for a social thing with people that weren't gamer people, older people that weren't into the online space at all, and I was just like, I'm gonna have to call you Dylan tonight, aren't I? Like, and I was like, usually I refuse to call him Dylan. It's like around these people, I can't be calling
I didn't.
him Zero.
I just called him Zero in front of them. I didn't think it was that weird.
Did you?
It was fine.
Okay. Well, yeah. But
People have to call me Bird. It's awful.
Bird. Yeah. Anyways, finally, you can find me if you're watching live right here on Twitch, twitch.tv/Falcone. You can catch the podcast when it eventually gets uploaded on youtube.com/Falcone hosts, and also on Spotify, on Apple Podcasts, on all of the podcasting sites under the name Content House. I've been a bit negligent recently in uploading these things because 3 weeks ago we had the podcast with Barney the Kid, who literally was still Hans Mole Pigeon when we recorded it, and it's now going to go up and he's going to be under the wrong name.
It's the wrong
And I've
person.
still not uploaded that. And then we've got last week's with Candy Evie. But I do need to upload this one before the Pot Noodle event in 2 weeks' time. So I'm going to have to catch up at some point over there. Expect all of these podcasts up at some point in the next 7 days. But yeah, thank you everyone for watching. I hope that you enjoyed, and we'll see you again next time. Goodbye.